Welcome to Grow For It. It's a podcast for small business owners, managers, and professionals. The goal is to give me a chance to work with the space between your ears, on your mindset, to help you focus on the things that really matter to your success. I want to enable you to concentrate on pursuing your vision, setting meaningful goals, and engaging in the day-to-day activities that will have the biggest impact. Thanks for joining me. Well, today let's dive into business concerns with the COVID-19 crisis. I'm fortunate in the fact that today I've got two guests in the studio. I've got Tommy Causey, who is from the Small Business Administration. He's based here in Louisville. And I've also got David Edkin. He is from the Louisville Small Business Development Center. And guys, I really appreciate you guys are doing a lot of promotion right now of some of the different government programs that are out there. Tommy, you and I were on a business roundtable at Bellarmine's School of Business the other day. I was a guest, you were a host, so really good to meet you through that. And David, you and I have met a couple of times actually, and I appreciate another Bellarmine alumnus, so I'm glad to have you here. Gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself and kind of talk a little bit about what your role is here in the community and how you guys can help with someone who might want to get in contact with you. Tommy, let's jump in with you.
Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting us here today.
Absolutely.
To help get the word out. It's always important to get the word out, particularly, accurate information. I'm with the Small Business Administration, Kentucky District Office, whereas I'm the lead economic development specialist. And what I've been doing ever since I've been there is helping, everything's been centered around the 3 C's, and that's counseling small businesses that need assistance to get started and assessing where they're at and referring them to the appropriate resource partner. We got a lot of them here, Small Business Development Center, the Women's Business Center, as well as SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives, our counselors to America's small businesses. And so that's sort of our counseling aspect of it. The other aspect centers around capital, and that is helping small businesses get loans. And the way that we do that is by providing guarantees to those loans primarily. But our gateway for that is through banks. SBA doesn't make any direct loans per se, other than economic injury disaster loans. And finally, a big part of what we do is help businesses get access to government federal contracts. There's a lot of money out there, and we want to make sure that small businesses get their share of it. So, and for the last couple of weeks, a month, or whatever, we've been trying to, deal with this economic injury disaster loans and this PPP to ensure that businesses in Kentucky get their rightful share of the money.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we learned a lot on the Bellarmine Roundtable. I know you guys probably are having your phones blown up big time, right about now. And we're going to kind of unpack that a little bit in today's episode. Tommy, I'm going to go ahead, if you don't mind, I'm going to give people your phone number and your email in the show notes that'll come along with this episode, so that somebody wants to reach out to you directly, they'll be able to contact you directly. Is that all right?
Please do.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. And then we'll kind of get rolling there. In fact, you talk about small businesses. When I first launched my own business, I actually went down to the SBA office and I met with Michael Ashcraft, to become a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. And he was actually, back in 2018, I launched a radio show at a local radio station. He was my first guest. I said, you guys are so important, I want to bring you on. So I really enjoy working with the SBA, and I appreciate your time. David, welcome. Tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing these days.
Thanks for having me. This is really exciting.
I don't know about that, but I'm glad you're here.
Again, my name is Dave Etkin. I'm the director here in the Louisville Small Business Development Center. And for those of you that haven't heard of the Small Business Development Center program, we are a partner and service provider funded by the SBA, also in partnership with the University of Kentucky, Louisville Forward and Louisville Metro Government, and GLI, Greater Louisville Inc., the Chamber of Commerce. And our mission is to help small businesses grow their business, or entrepreneurs start their business. Our sweet spot and the things we're really good at is business plans, doing feasibility studies for businesses before they launch, and also businesses that are in operation. We help with strategic plans and growing those businesses. And finally, what we're super good at is actually finding capital for businesses. That's our top of our list. So before all the COVID virus craziness happened, we generally will help businesses find about $10 to $15 million a year where we help them access SBA loans and other conventional financing to start businesses and grow businesses and acquire their businesses. And once the crisis hit, we worked hand in hand with Tommy and those teams, since we kind of market the same products, but we help people apply for the loans, get their papers in order, answer questions, point them in the right direction to other service providers that can help. But that's basically our mission now, is to keep businesses alive and people employed.
Well, and I actually got to see you in action. We had a common client in here that we were consulting with, and they were going to raise capital, and you actually helped bring in a number of banks. And I got to sit through those bank pitches, if you will, for financing.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. I mean, the communication was fantastic. I wasn't directly involved in that. I was kind of an adjunct, but I got to experience that and saw the number of different resources that you made available to that small business that was starting up. So I appreciate that. Guys, let's. I think again, David, I'll put your contact information in the show notes so people can reach out as well, and I appreciate that. Guys, so we're dealing with COVID-19, the coronavirus, and obviously there was a huge push where government kind of stepped up and said, okay, we're going to help a lot of these small businesses. First of all, a lot of these guys are shuttered, or this business revenue stream has been interrupted. And then the SBA kind of came up as the conduit for a lot of this. So there were a number of things that came out real quickly. The stimulus check is kind of outside of this. That $1,200 stimulus check, yes. We're not talking about that. That's if you're breathing, for the most part, you're going to get a check, so that's a good thing. But where you all came in from the SBA is you all are helping with the PPP loans, which is the payroll protection program for business owners trying to keep their employees on the payroll. So you're coming in. Can we kind of unpack? And also, you mentioned earlier the EIDL loans, the emergency interruption program there. Could you kind of talk a little bit, just in broad terms, of what those two programs are before we kind of get started?
Absolutely. The economic injury disaster loan has been around. It's sort of the staple of how we deal with disasters, direct loans to borrowers as opposed to going through lenders. It could be a physical, disaster, something like a hurricane, a flood, or something like that. In this particular instance, it's the pandemic. But this one right here is unprecedented in that it did not just touch a region of the country; it's touched the entire country.
Exactly.
Which generated a lot of volume, scope, and we were the Small Business Administration, which is one of the smallest independent agencies out there. Really thrust us on the forefront of trying to get money to these businesses so that they can stay afloat. And thanks to that money, some businesses will be able to stay afloat, but the money's gone right now. And for those of you who didn't get any money this time around, or didn't apply for any money this time around, you may have, and I want to, with fingers crossed here, you may have another opportunity because, from what I'm hearing and what I hear in the press and that sort of thing, is basically there may be another $250 billion coming down the pike. Now, from the SBA's perspective, and I looked at Kentucky in terms of as of Friday of last week, the amount of money they got, something like maybe 1,700 loans, $3.3 billion. And I looked at some of the surrounding states like Ohio, which got about $30 billion. Indianapolis, they got more money, right. As well as Tennessee. And one of the, it kind of, and one of the things that caused me to think about a lot of the questions that had been addressed to me was people, because they had this program, are empowered to borrow, to provide the certification and this sort of thing that they was going to give the lender. A lot of people had reservations about that, but and I guess maybe you can say if it seems too good to be true, they thought maybe it was, and that may have stopped some lenders, borrowers rather, that need that money to apply. But I'm going to, say again, as is my call that I'm going to make out there for anybody, if money comes available again for this PPP, apply. This is free money. Essentially, if you do what's required, you bring your employees back 14 days, and everything is at least 75% of it's directed toward payroll, you're going to be okay with that particular program. So, and if you don't, where you going to get a loan at 1% interest fixed that can be amortized over 10 years?
Right.
That's a
or
no-brainer.
possibly forgiven altogether.
The possibility of being forgiven altogether, yes.
Right. And I think that's the frustration for a lot of people is looking at this going, well, what's 2 weeks? Well, 2 weeks might be enough to kind of keep you going. It's another 2 weeks. And again, it's not going to be a burden on your books. That is the federal government stepping in through the SBA to say, hey, look, we're going to help out. And we've all got, families, we've all got concerns, we've all got bills out there that need to be paid. That extra 2 weeks, 80 hours, may be fantastic. And again, that money can also, however, be used for interest payments on a mortgage. That
Absolutely.
can be business loan, that kind of stuff. And it's a question of whether or not it's totally going to be forgiven. But to your point, I mean, the interest rate is almost negligible. Even if it's not forgiven, that low of an interest rate is probably worth looking at. If you're going to shutter your business or at least extend through this PPP program, take the lifeline. Take the lifeline. I think that's kind of what I heard you say at the Bellarmine round.
Yeah, and I continue to say that today. I mean, because again, it's free money. Essentially, if you do those things, I mean, I looked at the guidelines, and they relatively simple, to comply with and that sort of thing, because it's not, interest rate, mortgage payments, lease payments, and all that kind of good stuff is factored in there also. And so, but the other thing is, I mean, if you pay your employees and keep them on for another 2 weeks at least. You don't have to worry about those employees going somewhere else. And in addition to that, you're connecting with those employees and letting them know, hey, that I'm here for you, when things get bad. And that makes, a better place to work, a better work environment in the whole, for everybody.
Well, in reality, this slowdown may not have crippled everybody, so you still may have working capital there to keep your people on staff. But an extra 2 weeks sure might be helpful, especially when you need it. But I think, Tommy, what you were saying earlier is the fact that you'd really kind of need to get in line, because that first tranche that came out is basically taken up at this point. There's some questions, people waiting on distributions, but they're basically those funds are committed. Now, hopefully, we get that second.
Yeah, and I think that's what some of the problems that we had here. A lot of people, was sort of hesitant in filing because, as I indicated earlier, it was too good to be true. And the money was there for first come, first serve.
And David, let me bring you into this discussion. As far as kind of the conversations you're having right now, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? Kind of what's happening, and kind of what's the SBDC doing to stand up and kind of come alongside these business owners?
Well, in the beginning, when we would meet with business owners, I think there was just a sense of disbelief, because if you think, I think it was on a Tuesday, everybody was busy, we're working hard, and then on a Wednesday, no one has any business, everything's shut down, and no revenue's coming in, but expenses don't stop, and people are totally just stunned and don't know what to do. And luckily, with the SBA funds, and the government kind of stepped in to kind of provide some comfort and some opportunities for people. But in an instant, businesses are in essence bankrupt. They've got no prospect. So
we're seeing it on two different sides. It's the more people I talk to is that not only their clients, their customers shutting down. So there's not that demand, there's not that pull through on inventory, but you also may have supply chain interruptions, which means you can't get the parts or whatever that you need to produce the product or service you're normally providing.
Exactly.
So it kind of stopped everything for a little while here.
Right. So it was totally unprecedented. I mean, no one expected this to happen. We when we work with business owners, there's kind of a process that we use, and step one is to kind of figure out where you are now. So you would assess your situation. How much cash do I have on hand? Are there accounts receivables that I can collect on? I want to gather as much cash as I can possibly get. That includes applying for any kind of loans or any other relief program that I can think of. Once I know what that cash pot is, my war chest per se,
Yeah, absolutely.
I can calculate use my monthly expenses. I can calculate my burn rate, and I'll know if nothing changes. I'll know in X number of months, weeks, days, when I'm just totally out of everything. Once I know what my runway is, well, then that allows me to start making some changes and run some scenarios where can I reduce more expenses? Do I get rid of staff? Do I ask for forbearance with my creditors or my bank or my landlord? Come up with kind of a plan to work through just to survive. What the plan has to be is, what do we need to do today to survive down the road when things open up again. That's all it is.
Well, and I think this triage that you're walking us through is so critical. This is a good time to do it as any. Is the fact that what is absolutely necessary right now. And then I love it's obviously a term, a burn rate. How quickly are you burning through the cash that you have so that you really have a tight handle on that? Because a lot of us, I think, as things get going, we kind of get a little lax and, okay, this is coming in and I'm looking at my income and I'm looking at my net profit at the end of each month or quarter, and that feels good. But you may not be looking really at the finite level that right now we're going to have to. Yeah. And if we're not doing it now, definitely we're going to have to get an understanding of that. And if we're not used to doing that, can somebody like yourself from SBDC kind of come along that business owner side and say, hey, let me show you really what you need to be looking at? I mean, is that kind of what you guys are prepared to do?
That's what we do on a regular basis.
Yeah, even without this pandemic.
Yeah. And there's that famous quote about, Winston Churchill says, never let a good crisis go to waste. So this is a great time to really kind of strengthen up your business. And with this crisis, with any crisis, I mean, there's opportunity. There's some business owners that will freeze up and do nothing. Others will be very defensive and just try to maintain. And then other business owners will be aggressive and look at it as an opportunity. And those are the people that we try to move forward quickly and then move the defensive folks to get them to be a bit more aggressive, because there will be opportunities at the end of this thing.
Well, I love when you talk about opportunities. I mean, I do a lot of vendor negotiations for my clients, and right about now, there are a lot of vendors who would love to sell daggone near anything in their warehouse. And if I'm looking for a bargain, I mean, if I've got cash, if I'm in a cash position, it's almost like the stock market, right? If I'm in a cash position, this is a buying opportunity. You're going to find really, really good pricing out there if you're able to do that.
Right.
You may have the inventory that you're going to carry, but this is the time to have conversations. Get the information flow going. Don't just hole up and not talk to anybody. I mean, there's always relief out there. There's always an opportunity if you're looking. David, I've got to ask, and I know people are listening, what does it cost to approach you guys and to get the SBDC to come in and help with my business?
Well, that's one little bit of good news, is because we're totally free.
Absolutely. And that's, friends, if you're listening to this, I mean, there are so many resources, and I'm going to bring Tommy back into this. There are so many resources out there that, sometimes we just don't think about. And the SBDC in particular doesn't do a lot of advertising. I mean, I never see a billboard or anything like that. I don't hear about you guys on radio. From time to time, I'll hear about the SBA, but you guys are kind of quiet, but you're always there. And this might be the time that you need to pick up the phone or get online and start engaging with these gentlemen and finding a way to kind of look for some key opportunities within your business that may be that one key aha moment to allow you to hang on for just a little bit longer until this thing starts to get worked out. Tommy, I love the optimism that you're talking about. Is there may be another tranche of money coming through here. Go ahead and fill out the applications and get in line. I think some of the frustration is that this is the local banks don't know what to do with a lot of these applications, and they're slow. I haven't really been hearing much from my bank. I put it in. Any advice? I mean, you've kind of weathered these storms before. I mean, you've seen things like this happen. Maybe not to this degree, but you've been in this game for a long time. What might you tell a business owner out there?
Yes. First of all, I said, if you have a relationship with an existing lender, work with that particular lender. Whether the SBA had a loan authorization agreement with them or not. Virtually, this PPP program opened up basically any FDIC lender in order to make loans. So just not those where we had a loan authorization agreement. So anybody, credit unions, farm co-ops, just anybody out there essentially, was able to make these loans. So you want to always start out with, where you got a relationship. That makes it so much better. And if your lender is not already a part of the SBA loan authorization cadre, then we encourage those lenders to come in, because we need lenders like that to come in so they can reach a lot of more people. Right now, most of the loans are made by what we call nationwide lenders, big lenders and that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that we bring those community lenders back into the fray and that sort of thing, because, a lot of them, was concerned about paperwork and that sort of thing. But, when we start talking about small businesses, as you can see right now, when small businesses come to a halt, the whole United States economy come to a halt. So small businesses are not just small businesses, where the rubber meets the road. And so with the SBA, it's the very same. That should be your one-stop shop if you're a small business. We've got everything there is free. And it's only, all you have to do is take advantage of it, and that sort of thing. And so we've been around for since 1953, helping small businesses weather storms like this, and we'll continue to do so. And I think this is going to have a whole impact on how we go forward, because things will never be the same as we go back, once this thing is over. We'll never go back to the way things was previously and that sort of thing. And that's going to apply also to businesses in terms of how they look at their value proposition going forward and that sort of thing. In terms of, maybe I should have gotten some business disruption insurance.
That's a great point.
Those things that was probably very inexpensive at the time, right? But you passed on it because you didn't see anything like that. But these are contingencies that you cannot plan for, directly, but that doesn't mean that you don't have to plan. And so you have to take all those things in consideration. But the SBA, like I say, they've been there. They're going to continue to be there. And it's one of these little underrated agencies out here. And we've, quite frankly, we've taken some heat and continue to take heat right now because of the scope of and sheer volume that was, put upon us in a very short period of time. But we took $350 billion and allocated that, made loans in that within a 2-week period of time. And so we did what we was called upon to do to get money to small lenders out there. And so we need small lenders, to come in the fray, give us, and work with us and, find out what's going on there. And that way we can kind of help them if we know more about their needs and what they want, because we're part of the government. And so when we show up and say, we're from the government, we're here to help you, then what we're doing right now, that sort of, brings some realism to that.
No, and that makes sense. I think part of the confusion that I heard from people was, and I'm talking with business owners. I do business consulting, small business consulting, and part of it is, well, should I apply through my bank or should I apply through the SBA? There are links. I have my business account over at BB&T. This is not an ad for BB&T, but yeah, you applied right through that link there. But on the SBA, there's also links there. I mean, would you advise one way or the other? I mean, is there kind of a good and better way to do this?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I mean, like when the program was first announced, our primary, disaster program was the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. Right. PPP was a souped-up program to augment, and accelerate monies to small businesses in there that had been impacted as a result. So if the option out there is, when apply for both of them.
Yeah.
And so I was encouraging people to apply for both of them.
So when I go through the SBA link there, I'm actually going for the EIDL loan, right? That is
exactly.
The emergency disaster.
Right.
What's it? Emergency.
Emergency injury disaster loan.
Yeah.
So that's the one that's direct from the SBA. You're dealing direct with the SBA there. With the PPP loan, then you're dealing primarily with a banker. You're dealing with bankers.
Right.
And so what a lot of borrowers didn't realize, maybe, that they were empowered to certify that the documentation that they were provided to the lender was corrupt, and the burden of proof was on them, not the lender. And so, and maybe the lenders felt somewhat the same way, in terms of what to do. But that was the game plan out there for the borrowers to certify that the information I provided you, but you had to, in fact, submit your information to a borrower in order to get that PPP loan. And whatever the amount of that loan was, if it's $100,000 or $100 million, the SBA guaranteed 100% of that amount. So there was the lenders wasn't going to lose anything. Right, now, typically on our loans, it runs from 75% guarantee, 85% guarantee, 90%, or 50%. So I've never seen whereas there's 100% guarantee on anything, as well as and making loans to nonprofits and as well as faith-based groups and that sort of thing.
Well, and David, that's the one thing that came back. It was kind of like, oh yeah, we forgot this. They opened it up to nonprofits, to faith-based, so the 501c3s. I mean, everybody's eligible for this now. Mm-hmm. And again, that's a service that I guess you and your team, your colleagues could help walk us through, because a lot of people, again, may not be keeping books as nice and neat as somebody else, and so it's going to be a little difficult to come up with these numbers. But again, that's part of the support that you give these independent business owners, these operators, these 1099 employees, really, who are their own sometimes entities.
Definitely. when you're that small, especially the smaller, like you said, the independent contractors and that type, they don't have a lot of advisors on tap. You know, if you're a larger company, you would just call your CPA and ask a few questions, and you get that help. So we're there for those type of contractors and businesses. And you know, the SBA, if you think about what, just to piggyback on Tommy, you know, they were handed what, $1 trillion program, and had to put it together in a couple weeks and then make it all work in a couple weeks. So they're working very hard to get everyone the help they need, and so don't disqualify yourself. You know, apply for these things. If you need to ask a question, you know, call us. We answer the phone. You don't have to leave a message. Most of the time, we'll take your call right away, and we'll be able to talk you through anything. And we do Zoom counseling. We can get on video with you. You can show us documents on the screen, and we just work through anything, whatever it takes. You know, our job is to help businesses, entrepreneurs, get the money and survive and go forward.
And again, I like to couch you guys as a community resource. I mean, obviously you're backed up by the federal government, so you're much, much larger than that. But I mean, realistically, there's so much help out there that's available for small business owners, operators like this. And I think what's really interesting is just the myriad of programs that actually came out. I think that added to some of the confusion, but you're there, and Tommy, you're there to really help us walk through that. I mean, there was the PPP that came out. There was the stimulus checks. There was the changes to the unemployment, unemployment programs out there, to where now, even as a business owner, if I'm keeping people on staff, I may be able to defer up to 2 years the payroll tax. And there's all sorts of different resources out there. Your head's probably spinning just listening to that kind of stuff and knowing, okay, what should I go after first? The thing is, just get in touch with these guys, and they'll sit down and they'll walk you through all the different things, because there's not just one omni program out there. I mean, these are separate individual programs, and I think that's what kind of threw people. But even people who are self-employed, they qualify now for a lot of these programs, which typically they don't. I mean, typically those guys kind of get left out a little bit, but all of this is available now, and it's just a matter of really understanding where to apply and for what, and what documentation or backup do you need. And quite honestly, I helped somebody with I think it was an EIDL loan the other day. Just going through the online form. It was about a 2-page form. I mean, there was really nothing to it.
Very simple.
I mean, it was so clean and efficient, which is not what I actually expected from the government, but thank you. No, but I mean, it really was. I mean, it was very clean and efficient. We went through, and it said, this form's going to take about 2.5 hours. No, we were done in probably 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
It really, I don't know where that, maybe you didn't have your paperwork together, but that was so easy to kind of push that button and say submit, and now that person is in line, and hopefully at some point, some of those funds start flowing. So again, kudos to your guys' organizations for helping getting that going.
Well, thank you. And again, when that program was first launched, I mean, like our website was down because it was just inundated with people all over, trying to get into the system and that sort of thing. And I just wish more people from Kentucky would have taken advantage of that program. And hopefully, when it comes around again, they will. Because right now we're talking about the engine that's keeping the economy rolling, and that's small businesses. And so, with disruptions come opportunity. And certainly this is an opportunity to readjust your value proposition, and, your employees and what you're doing, that sort of thing. And sort of, chart a path in terms of where we're going to go here, because if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And we can't, do business as we've done before, for sure.
Well, and I think it's just a good time, and David, you even alluded to this, it's a good time to just kind of stop, check yourself up a minute, and maybe get a little bit more organized this time. And, assuming you're coming back, and just patience, some prayer and some deep breaths. We're going to get through this, obviously, but it's just one of those kind of things where, hey, look, this might be the opportunity for you to understand, wow, I need to really tighten up my record keeping, or I need to have a better plan in place. And both the SBA and the Louisville SBDC is there to help with all of this. And I love the fact that we've got those organizations that are, again, cost-free. All you got to do is pick up the phone or pick up the email and engage. Guys, we're kind of coming to the half an hour point here. And I just, again, Tommy, what would be the easiest way for someone to get in touch with you and kind of learn more about it? I mean, obviously the SBA's got a full-blown website, and it is up and going. I was looking at it today. Is there a Kentucky or a Louisville one, or do we just go straight to the SBA?
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to go directly to the Kentucky website, you want to go www.sba.gov/KY. That'll bring you directly to our website. And once you go to the website, also, we're talking about some things we can do. Here's the opportunity also to hone your craft, because there's a lot of online courses that's offered at our website that's free. And so these are things you need to do, hone your craft, work with it, get better, because things are changing out there. And some of the things you've done in the past, could be done a lot better now. So, you want to, stay, abreast of what's taking place in society right now in terms of how you market and who your customers are, and target those customers in a way such that you can gain more customers and retain the ones that you already got.
Well, and that's what's interesting. I love the fact that you brought up the fact that you guys do seminars, and I've seen those calendars out there where these are free seminars that you can come in. There are local professionals that are talking to you about, hey, let's unpack how you do this, or what this means, or why this is important. And these are ongoing classes that are out there for a business owner or operator who just really wants to get better at what they're doing. David, along with you, if somebody wants to kind of engage, what is the best way for someone to engage with the Louisville SBDC? And again, that's Small Business Development Center.
Yeah. The easiest way is just go to our website, which is LouisvilleSmallBusiness.com. And you can engage with us there. You can request information. We also have a chat bot there. You can just shoot me a quick question, and I'll answer right back as soon as I can. And we have tons of resources. This is a great time if you have extra time. If you're doing the right thing and quarantine at home, maybe you have extra time. So if you shoot me a request, I've got a nice little checklist where you can kind of run down, and we call it de-risking your business. Give you a checklist where you can work through the different parts of your business where by making some changes, you actually make your business run more efficiently, be more valuable if you ever want to sell it in the future, and make it easier to run. So I'd be happy to send that to you. And again, we're more than happy to help with anything we can. We've seen a lot of business. We've worked with a ton of business. We have a lot of experience running our own businesses, and we're a great resource. We're free, so please take advantage of us.
Guys, I appreciate your time again. And once again, if you're listening to this, if you'll just go to the show notes, and there's a number of ways you can get there. If you're listening on Apple and iTunes, you'll have that in the show notes, or at least a link back to my website, which everything will be listed there as well. If you pick this up on LinkedIn, on Facebook, you'll have a link back to my website, JimRayConsultingServices.com, and it'll go right to this podcast episode. All you have to do is scroll down, and you'll see a photo of the guys. You'll see a little bit about their backgrounds, and you'll have their contact information there. I want to make this as quick and easy and efficient for you as possible. And if you do have other friends, other colleagues who are kind of in the same boat, if you wouldn't mind sharing that information out, that'd be super, super helpful. Guys, any parting words at this time? I mean, eventually we are going to get through this. Eventually this thing is going to wrap up, and things are going to get back to some type of normal. It just won't be this normal. But any parting words?
Yeah, I mean, in closing, I would just like to say very shortly that, whether you're in business or not, you're in business. So, and for those who don't have a business per se, and a lot of people are unaware that they have the talent to do that. And they've, for some reason or another, they've bought into this myth that I can't do that for whatever reason. So, I'm encouraging those people, to start, pursuing some type of business ownership. We live in a capitalist country here. And if you don't own something, then, you're sort of off the board. And so the big part of the SBA's mission, the Small Business Administration right now, and always has been, and that is to take job seekers and make them job creators.
And David, Tommy, thank you for that. I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes it's that hope, and it's that, wow, I really need to take that step. I need to have the courage to jump off that cliff is what it may actually feel like. But depending on what your situation, if you've been employed and suddenly you may not have a job to return to, this may be that opportunity for you to engage with Tommy and the rest of the SBA here in Louisville and kind of start putting together that business plan and start thinking through that. David, let me ask you again, just final words of encouragement possibly for somebody who may be listening thinking, geez, I don't know if this is the time, but it's starting to feel more and more like the time.
Well, it's definitely a time not to do things by yourself, even though we're isolated. So this is a great time to reach out to different resources and figure things out, put things together. And we'd like to be part of that resource for you and your business. So please contact us.
Well, guys, once again, let me just say thank you for your time. And if you're wondering, yes, we're in the studio, but we are socially distanced. We're 6-10 feet apart, so we're all doing this, as best we can to make sure everybody's safe and healthy. But guys, if you've heard something on this that sparked some interest, or maybe raised some questions, or maybe thrown you a lifeline where you didn't realize there was a program out there that you might be able to take advantage of as a business owner operator, let me encourage you to follow up with Tommy, follow it up with Dave. And this may be that chance that you've been waiting for. And if you're ready for that and you think you're prepared, even if you're not totally prepared, give me a call and we'll grow for it. Take care. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.